Hello and welcome to your in-depth weekly horoscope for week commencing the 19th of September. This is for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you the broad themes to look out for, but please stay with me. I will then dive deep to give you in forensic detail each of the 12 zodiac signs from Aries through to Pisces. Now, this week could be described a bit like a sports match, a game of two halves, or a week of two halves. The first half of this week has a very strong resemblance to the energies which played out last week. That angle between the Sun and Pluto, very much a transformative aspect, that reaches a peak on Monday and lasts through to midweek. Venus and Mars are still in a right angle, and that lasts through to midweek. And that's bringing a greater sense of tension, but also potential excitement into the romantic realm. And also because Uranus is angling with Venus this week too, there is an opportunity to liven things up a little bit around all sorts of relationships by being a bit more spontaneous and not just going through the same routines and patterns that we can all tend to settle down into. Now also, those two retreating planets of Mercury and Jupiter are in opposition through to the middle of this week, which can see some bubbly conversations. It can also see some intense disagreements. You know, Jupiter is the planet that governs the sign of Sagittarius, which is very much about knowledge, but in the sign of Aries it can be more direct. Now the more moderate energies of Mercury in Libra is asking us all to find a balance, but of course the retrograde can see some cross wires. But later in this week we have one of the biggest events of the whole year. On Friday we have the Cardinal Quadrant 3 as the Sun moves into the sign of Venus, and we have the autumnal equinox. This provides a backdrop for the next 13 weeks, but particularly for the following 4 weeks, relationships are going to be a big part of everyone's thinking. And on this particular event, the Sun and Mercury are absolutely conjunct, or cazimi. So I think important to really take the whole concept of relating seriously. And that doesn't, of course, mean just saying what we want or how we feel. It means being able to listen to other people, but crucially comprehend where they're coming from if they tend to have a different approach to ourselves. And then on Sunday, we have a new moon in the sign of Libra, which just brings even greater dynamism into our need to relate well. But this one's in an opposition with Jupiter. Interesting, Jupiter's still in that retrograde, and I think that this means that there can, if we're open to it, be some really positive exchanges. We see lots of people giving their opinions these days, but it's very important to also have conversations and discussions. And I think as this week goes on, despite any tensions that may be there, and of course Saturn and Uranus are still inching closer to their exact square, which within 1 minute occurs between the 2nd and 12th of October, a repeat of an energy that was so prevalent in 2021 and at the start of this year. There is a lot of tension around. So if we can find a way to embrace this Libran energy of trying to find points of agreement, or to celebrate the things that we share rather than highlighting all the time the things that are different between us, I think it does provide an enormous opportunity over the next few weeks. So Virgo, your week commencing the 19th of September forecast sees the Sun in your sign on Monday forge that absolutely exact link with Pluto, which is so creative and can really give you a big push to embrace those parts of your situation which help you to showcase your talent. Also, Venus in your sign is linking brilliantly to Uranus. That too could see you very imaginative and approaching things with a real sense of zest. However, in a relationship situation, there could be some tension perhaps even a bit of a battle of wills with Mars and Venus still in a right angle through to the middle of this week. But if you're in a more solo mode at the moment, it's possible that there could be a sudden attraction and quick movement around someone that you're strongly drawn towards, but it may be someone who perhaps has got quite a strong personality or an assertive nature, but you may find that actually quite a turn on. Now, whatever your situation, you could be tempted, and of course we're all faced by the substantial headwinds financially, but you could be tempted to splash out earlier this week, particularly on tech or travel. But as the sun makes its way on Friday into the sign of Libra, we have the autumnal equinox and we start cardinal quadrant 3 for the next 13 weeks, but particularly the next 4 weeks. Your focus is going to be much more on the foundations of your world. So you're going to look for tangible improvements. That's very much in keeping with you as an earth sign. But your ruler Mercury is exactly conjunct the sun on this event. That's known in traditional astrology as Cazimi. And this can give you even more ability to think outside the box and be very dexterous in your approach. But the new moon, which occurs on Sunday, is also linked to Jupiter, and maybe better fortune financially can come for you where you're collaborating with someone else or developing a business or entrepreneurial idea. But generally speaking, I feel that you will want to be on the whole over this next 4 weeks, looking to get things much more rooted. Now, the one aspect I haven't told you about is, of course, Saturn squaring Uranus. And I think where you're in a situation, whether it's personally or professionally, where it feels a lot of give and not a lot of get, and you feel quite penned in, that can create some frustration. So the energy you have for most of this week in your sign is encouraging you to find your own path. And that does mean that you could potentially start something that's exciting, or see something that you got going a while ago start to reap some benefits as this week draws to a close.